Hey everybody, it's Nathaniel Avila, and I'm here in San Antonio. Uh, and I'm with Timbrel Hildebrand, reporting from is it Crowley, Texas?
I am in Crowley right now. I came to visit my family and got snowed in.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah, there is a lot of snow in northern Texas right now,
it's crazy.
which is very rare. This hardly ever happens, but
I
it
know.
happens, and here we are, snowed in. Uh, so yeah, also we are recording on Valentine's Day. That's great. Hooray.
Hurrah.
Yeah. And also, Timbrel just got engaged. Hooray.
I did.
Do you want to tell us how he proposed?
Oh, it's not all that interesting. We were just kind of in his room and he was in pajama bottoms and in front of a Star Wars action figure collection, but it was pretty perfect for us.
Okay.
That gives you any indication as to how our relationship works.
All right. What did he get on one knee and give you something from Jared?
He went to Zales, but
Oh,
yes,
Zales.
he
Okay.
did do that. It was very nice.
And it was just you two in the room?
It was nice. It
Oh,
was just
okay.
the two of us.
All right. Well, congratulations to the happy couple. Do you know when the wedding's going to be?
We're aiming for June 28th this summer, or maybe July 5th. It's going to depend on some certain things.
All right. Well, I'll mark my calendar, and I'm gonna look forward to it. So today we're gonna be talking about Sky High. Hooray!
Hurrah!
Yeah. Now I remember this film came out in 2005, and I remember I was pretty young when I watched it, and I remember being all about this film because I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And it was like a school for superheroes that is like super cool. So I got really into this film. So I got the DVD and I looked at the behind the scenes stuff and I looked at all the bonus features on the DVD. So I was like really into it. What is your initial thoughts about this film?
I love this movie. I think it's great. Most of these like Disney teen movies are usually really annoying, and they have less than stellar dialogue and performances from actors. But this is a nice little gem in the midst of all that, and it's a lot of fun. When I watched it, I want to say I was probably about. I was a kid too, so I was. I don't. I think I watched it not too long after it came out. I was like 5 or 6 years old,
Okay.
and I loved it. I loved it going in as a kid, and I still love it now. I think it's a fun movie, and I think it's kind of cool. It's sort of a it's somewhat of a satire at the it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek kind of superhero film, and I like that. It's fun.
Yeah. So let's do some backstory about this particular film. So we like it was the script was actually written by a writing duo named Bob Schooley and Mark McCorkle, who worked together on another show for Disney Channel called Kim Possible. So they made that film. So the advent of this film came across when they were doing the first and second seasons of Kim Possible, and they began writing a script for a live action adaptation of Kim Possible, which ultimately never came to fruition due to unknown reasons. But don't worry, there was a live action film made of Kim Possible.
Oh yes.
It was on Disney Channel, a couple like came out pretty recently. So, impressed with their work, the filmmakers asked them to look into rewriting the script for Sky High, which had been previously shelved. So McCorkle believes that they were recruited for Sky High because they liked the idea of a superhero high school. Okay, so this is like him talking. I think reading how we wrote teens in Kim Possible, they felt like this feels like good contemporary. Excuse me. And maybe you can apply that to this project for us. So, similar to Kim Possible, Schooley and McCorkle wrote Sky High to be equally appealing to both children and adults. So, according to sci-fi.com, Disney was attracted to by the original concept of children's superheroes going to high school, originally conceived by screenwriter Paul Hernandez in the 1990s. So after recruiting both Schooley and McCorkle for polishing Hernandez's script, which they only wrote the beginning and the ending sequences for, Disney hired several comedians such as Kevin McDonald, Dave Foley, and Kevin Hefferman for supporting roles. For the main roles, the casting was a mix of established and new teenage actors. such as Michael Angarano and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who were already successful. Daniel Pannenbaker was still like coming up there, and Stephen Strait, who was a former model and was hired on his first audition ever. So they got Mike Mitchell. Said that Sky High functions on two premises: the adults are all insane, and the girls are smarter than the boys. That's what he says. Therefore, all the adults portrayed in the film to be caricatured, while the teenage girls are written more assertive and powerful than the boys. The film also employed extensive usage of tilted shots, or like Dutch angles, for the treatment of this teenage actors. Mitchell also stated that all the actors had their own trailer and were generally kept separated because we don't want them to date after the second week or break up after the fourth, which would have made filming difficult, which was probably a smart idea. So Mitchell, a science fiction fan, admitted that this project was a dream because it brought together with his four favorite cult superheroes. Namely Linda Carter, who played Wonder Woman in the 1970s television show, Kurt Russell, who played Snake Plissken in, I believe it was Escape from New York, Bruce Campbell, who played Ash Williams from The Evil Dead, and I believe Cloris Leachman, who earned fame as Frau Blucher in the Young Frankenstein film. And that's pretty much the story of Sky High. So, what do you think about Mike Mitchell's statement about the all adults are insane and the girls are smarter than the boys statement?
Yeah, I got that vibe, I suppose. I mean, I think what I do like about this movie is they don't make while they do make the adults kind of ridiculous per usual in these types of teenage movies, they don't make them like total idiots, which I appreciate because it gets annoying after a while when it's all that sort of Disney Channel, kids rule, adults are dumb, that sort of thing. It's just very childish to me. But in this case, I think it's fun because it's not so much that they're dumb, it's just everyone is very cartoony, especially Kurt Russell. I absolutely love him as the commander. He's so much fun. He feels very like Superman-esque, and he's a lot of fun. He's just a great actor. I think that really contributes to why it's a good movie. They have some really good performers in it.
Mm-hmm. So let's go down with the performances. How do we feel about Daniel Pannenbaker's performance as Layla in this film?
I thought it was good. It was, again, while I like this movie, there's nothing like super special about the performances, like from the main cast. They're just kind of like, they're teenagers in a superhero world. She's good for like what she's doing, being the girl next door, super in love with Will, but he just can't take a hint, that sort of thing. I think she's a very relatable character. I do think sometimes she gets a little bit preachy with some of her dialogue just because they're using her to sort of make the point that like, she stands out, she isn't wanting to fit in, and I get that and I'm fine with that. It's just sometimes it does push the envelope of being a little preachy, but it also works because I feel like they're kind of using it ironically, like they're somewhat winking at the fact that she's so over the top, disestablishment, whatever. But no, I liked her and I thought it was really interesting to see her. But I do think that actress, she's pretty good. I liked her in this.
Yeah. Did you ever watch her in The Flash?
I did. I will say I like her better in this movie than I liked her in The Flash.
Oh, snap. Why is that?
First off, I just don't think that show was that great. It kind of puttered out after a while. And her character in particular began to get a little bit irritating. And I don't know if it was so much her as it was the writing. So I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed her more in this because she felt a little bit more comfortable in this role.
Yeah. And then we also got the character of Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this film as Gwen, who also was, plot twist, she was also the main villain. The royal pain. She was also that. And she also would go on to play another superhero in Birds of Prey. I believe she played the Huntress in that film. Yeah. Did you ever see that movie?
I did.
What did you think about that one?
Didn't think it was great, but that's not the one we're talking about.
Okay. So yeah, so Mary Elizabeth Winstead was also in it. She also played the oh snap royal pain. What did you think about that plot twist, by the way, that she was actually the main villain?
Oh, I thought it was a nice plot twist. I think they used a good bit of misdirection throughout. I mean, you could tell that she was bad news, but I think that I think they really used some misdirect to kind of like you didn't see it coming that she actually was royal pain, not like her daughter or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was a nice plot twist.
Yeah, like I remember like when you first get introduced to the character, she is actually like presented as like this embodiment of good. Like she's like the like Rhodes Scholar good. Like that kind of thing. Like she was like straight A student president of whatever. And later on, especially in the house party scene, when her true colors come out, when she basically like badmouths Layla in that one scene, I'm like, whoa, dude, you are a total B word.
Oh my word.
Am I right? She was acting really mean.
Oh
So
no, she was the worst. I was watching it and I'm just like, oh, poor Layla. Leave her alone.
yeah, I know for real. So yeah, like also like what do you think? Because like I know it's also like a thing about superheroes and stuff, but do you think it also capitulates real world high school life in this film?
Um, I'd say it does to some extent, but honestly, in stuff like this, most of the time, a lot of this sort of like high school drama is very caricaturized. But I mean, it wouldn't be interesting if it wasn't. You know, if it was too much like real life, we'd get bored. But I do think like this idea of kind of this drama of, oh, you know, you're in love with your best friend, but you know they don't seem to notice you. You know, that sort of thing. I think a lot of people could resonate with that. So yeah, I think that sort of thing does really come through. Just sort of the awkwardness of your friends uh, becoming too cool to hang out with you, that sort of thing. I think I'd say that's a pretty fair embodiment of some of the
Yeah,
stuff you go through in high school.
yeah, and then so sometimes people can be fake.
Yeah,
Sometimes like people want act one way one day and act another way another day. I mean that's just how teenage adolescence is in general.
yeah.
Like
And
it does.
sometimes your girlfriend turns out to be a supervillain. It's stuff that we all go
Yeah, it happened to me once or twice. Am I right, fellas? But like, it did actually kind of make me ponder what my own high school experience was. Like, did it make you think about that at all?
maybe a little. I mean, I didn't think about it that much, but that sort of, I guess, pettiness of like thinking about like who likes who, making your crush jealous. That did feel very high school. Because once you get older, you realize that stuff really doesn't matter at all.
Oh
So
yeah,
it is interesting to think about because I reminisce like, oh wow, that was such a dumb period of time where stuff that didn't matter mattered a lot.
yeah. Like I remember, oh, like I did go to homecoming, and I remember that used to be like a huge thing. But now, like as an adult, it like didn't doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter in the huge scheme of things. And so like let's go into like this other aspect of the character of War and Peace. Uh,
Shouldn't we talk about Will? He's the main character.
oh yeah, the Will. So will, as in he will get his powers. What do we think about this character, Michael Angarano's performance as Will? So do we think that it's like an okay thing for this character to have like no superpowers? He's very self-centered about it. He's very like he feels like he let his family down. He doesn't feel like he lives up to the thing. And but then all of a sudden he gets his powers, and then that's his arc. What do we think about that?
Well, I think it was more than just about his powers. Like he did some growing. Yes, like there were a lot of things going on with Will that I thought were, interesting and dynamic because we kind of like go through several sort of transitions for him throughout the movie. Like at first he's worried about, impressing his parents. He has a big legacy to live up to. And then we kind of transition into a different sort of I guess, dynamic of he gets what he wants, but he's also losing what he has. You know, he's losing Layla, he's losing his friends for something more fake, for something that he thought he wanted, but he's realizing like isn't what he like really needs at all or desires even.
Right. Like, yeah, because he first starts off as he just wants to have powers and live up to the family name. And then he gets kind of like discouraged when he finds out that, it might never come, but then it does come, and then it ends up not being like the most important thing in the world afterwards. So I find I do see that. And so like, what do you think like the character of Ron Wilson comes in, the bus driver guy?
I really liked that because Ron Wilson sort of embodies that idea of powers aren't what make you a hero. It's about who you are, and that's kind of like the whole theme. I think the anthem throughout the film that your powers aren't what make you a hero. Heroes are you know they come from the inside, not the out. So I think his character was really cool because he was kind of that embodiment of he wanted to help, he wanted to be a part of things, even though he didn't have powers.
Right, and I know that in one of the like in the nurse scene where the
I love
nurse,
that scene.
yeah, where the nurse reveals that to Will that he might never get his powers, and then she basically says like the only other person I know is Ron Wilson, and then I guess Will kind of looks at Ron as like, oh no, that's gonna be my future, that's my path leading up for me, and he basically views Ron as like this cautionary tale. But then later on, when he actually like comes in and basically um, helps him out, that definitely like does a good job in redeeming his character. But then in the credits, he does get powers, but
Yeah.
we'll just pretend that doesn't happen. Uh, so yeah, it says here that Patrick Warburton plays the voice of Royal Pain when
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, so like, let's go into like the relationship between Will and Warren Peace. Uh, so I like there is like some parallels there, and they do kind of mention that when they're in like that detention scene where they basically say that they're both trying to basically live for the legacy of their parents. Will in the case of trying to live up to their name, and Warren in the case of trying to get revenge for his father. And so, like, what do we think about that?
Warren Peace is a really interesting character. My dad, like, he's a really good. He's probably the best actor out of the troupe. He's in this really interesting TV show called The Expanse that my father absolutely loves. So while I was watching this movie, my dad was just like, "Oh my goodness, he's easily the best actor. He's awesome in The Expanse," stuff like that. But I do think his dynamic is pretty interesting. And what I thought was interesting is when the principal had them like in the detention room or whatever, she said, Will, like, you're trying to live up to your parents and you're trying to live down, and War and Peace, you're trying to live down your father's legacy. So I thought that was interesting that War and Peace, as much of a hothead and crazy as he acted, like in the first scene where we're really introduced to him, you can see that like this kid has a lot of baggage and he's wanting to make things. He's got his I guess his genetics are against him in a sense because he comes from a supervillain, so he's having to kind of like work against that.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah, and then also we kind of learn later on in the Chinese in the paper lantern scene that he's actually not that bad of a guy. That
No.
he's actually a really sensitive dude who just like has this facade of being a tough guy.
Yeah.
And that's in like a kind of another thing going into like high school thing about that whole idea of because this one person's this way, that does not mean that is just that's just them. You can still be friends with that person because that person might be really cool if you just get a chance to know them. So, and I think that's actually a really good message to have in this film. And so, like, also, like, I know that at the end of the film, one of the things that Will said was like, "Oh snap, my arch enemy ended up becoming my best friend," and that's high school. That's high school, I guess. And also, like, I know that they start becoming like there was like a relationship there in that gym scene where they try to save the citizen thing.
Yeah.
What do you think that was? Because I know like the relationship kind of like develops when Will decides to save Warren instead of just saving the citizen.
Yeah, I think that that was kind of to show that Will was trying to take the high road and be the bigger person, and
Yeah.
it's just to show you that like he's not all he's not all bad, kind of like the rest of the superheroes who think very highly of themselves, or the heroes that think very highly of themselves. Like it's showing that Will it's showing a lot about Will's character, that he's going out of his way to help Warren, even though Warren has been anything but friendly to him.
Right. And then also in that same scene when Will could have just saved the citizen and the guy would have just stopped because he was right in front of it.
Yeah.
But it's the principle of the thing. So
Yeah.
like also let's go. Also like I also want to mention that the War and Peace might have just been a play on the Leo Tolstoy book.
Oh, that's definitely what it was.
So like let's go into like the whole like the caste system that goes on in this particular high school, that being the division of superheroes and sidekicks.
Yeah.
What do you think that means? Do you think that's like a commentary on how the cliques in high school are, like the clickiness of high school is?
Yeah, I mean, I also think it's a plot device, but yeah, it does kind of showcase that idea of like not being good enough for a certain group at school, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and then also you definitely the sidekicks are definitely viewed as like the secondhand citizens of this school. If this school was like considered to be like a society, or maybe it also like kind of expands to the rest of the superhero society. They didn't really expand on that, but like I know that it became like, I think they also kind of did this with the character of, what was his name, Boy? Mr. Boy. Yeah, like so much. Yeah, so much so that that guy, like, not even his the superhero that he was assigned with even remembered who he was.
Yeah.
So I guess
Kevin didn't even remember of it.
Yeah.
He goes, that's right. The commander is far too busy to look at all the scrapbooks that I took the time to make for him.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah, and then he kind of wants to like get with his mom.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. So like we got like that kind of thing, but also like it kind of shows that maybe being like a superhero and a sidekick, it's not that big of a deal. You can still be cool with each other. You don't have to treat the other like poop, like poo poo.
Yeah.
And like also, I want to get also with Gwen's character. Like she is what is called she calls herself a technopath, and if she inherited such a power, how did that work 20 years ago when the technology wasn't 100% there?
Well, I think that was the point she was kind of trying to make. She was sort of outed as an outcast because her powers maybe weren't as useful back then because the technology wasn't quite as advanced. I think that's kind of what she was trying to say. She was written off because they didn't really get the usefulness of a technopath or something like that. But I mean,
okay.
also, that could be seen as somewhat of a plot hole.
Oh, okay, I get it. That makes more sense now. So yeah, so I remember thinking that I really wanted that this film to have a sequel, and I really wanted it to have a sequel because I wanted it to continue on. And apparently in 2016, Disney did announce that they were going to develop a sequel to Sky High.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the film was in its early development stages in 2016. So in January of 2019, Mike Mitchell actually revealed about earlier plans to make it a franchise, but due to the film's box office performance, they didn't really pursue it. So the sequel the sequel to Sky High was originally supposed to be called Save You, as in Save University, and
So they go to college.
Yeah, and it's about the characters going to college. So and there was also plans to make it a TV show with everybody returning except for Kurt Russell and Kelly Preston.
Obviously.
Yeah. But as of right now, there are no new developments for a TV show. But since Disney Plus is out, maybe that's a possibility that they could dust it off the shelves and maybe do something with that. I'd watch it. I'd personally watch it.
I think it was good as a standalone.
Okay.
Because it's just, if they make a TV show about it, it's just going to be like, it'll be like Layla and Will's kids or something like that. It's just going to be the same thing everybody else is doing right now when it comes to like...
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they should just let it lie. It's a good movie. Just let it be.
Okay, just let it be.
I think if there had been a chance, like when it first came out, to do a sequel, it would have been good. But at this point, I just don't think so.
Yeah. Or else you don't want to be like, what was it? We Will Be Heroes? Like that film?
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, it was a long-awaited, somewhat kind of sequel to Shark Boy and Lava Girl. That was.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
It was released on Netflix. But
I have not watched it, so I guess I can't really pan it. But just by the looks of things, I wouldn't say I had very high hopes for something like that.
I don't think a lot of people liked it. To be honest,
the first one didn't make much sense either. So
yeah, because I mean that actually kind of made sense because it was supposed to take place in like some kind of dream world.
Yeah.
Well, actually, since that takes place in a dream world, what does this new one take place in? Also the dream world? I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Neither did I.
Yeah. Also, all I knew is that Taylor Lautner was not returning for that one.
What? After his outbreaking role in Twilight?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not getting a lot of acting role offers. So.
Well, that's kind of why I don't get why they didn't put him in. Why he didn't take that.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why either.
But we're getting off track. Sorry.
Okay, so I want to talk about the music for a second because the music was.
Oh yes, the music is great.
Yeah, the music is definitely the most 2000s thing that I have heard while watching this film.
It's done by the same guy who did the Incredibles music, so
Ooh.
It sounds very superhero-esque.
Right. And it includes like a lot of like modern rock covers of earlier songs. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, it includes like I Melt With You by Bowling for Soup. Yeah, through Being Cool by They Might Be Giants, Save It for Later by Flashlight Brown. So there's like a bunch more. So they use these like tracks to definitely propel the story, which I thought was really 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 nice. So what did you think about their use of like rock music?
Honestly, I didn't notice. I'll be completely honest with you. I noticed the very superhero-like soundtrack that they used for a lot of the like action sequences and stuff like that, but I didn't really notice them use a lot of rock music. But I mean, it worked fine. It fit the kind of like young vibe of the movie, I'd say.
Yeah, I would definitely say that as well. And let me see. It was. It looked like it was. Oh, it was composed by Michael Giacchino.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he's the guy who also did the score for The Incredibles as well.
I know. That's why I think it really fits the superhero feel.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, and that's all that. Also, oh yeah, remember that one scene in the beginning where that girl like freezes those two dudes?
Yeah.
And then they just die, I guess.
I don't mind.
We don't care that they died.
Well, he did try to zap her skirt with his heat vision.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that's okay to be frozen to death.
It's okay. I think it was kind of like a carbonite sort of process. They're fine. They just have to thaw out.
Okay, all right, sounds good. And also, there was the scene in the nurse's office where she basically x-rays Will's chest.
Oh, I really love that scene. Florence Riespin is really good in that scene. Oh, rest in peace. She passed away recently, actually.
Oh.
But her as the nurse is great. I simply love her dialogue. I love how she says, people who get bit by a radioactive insect or fall into a vat of toxic waste, their powers usually show up the next day, or they die.
Oh yeah, her
so
her comedic timing is like her comedic timing is on point.
Yeah, the comedy in this is very good, I think.
Mm-hmm. So like because I watched this film and there was also I watch it with Spanish subtitles because I watch it with my grandmother.
How nice.
Yeah. So like, I watched it, and there were some like changes to the superhero names, such as because Jetstream was Supersonic in the Spanish version. Yeah, and royal pain was changed to torture.
Oh my
Yeah.
word!
Yeah.
That's far darker.
Yeah, but I guess when they were trying to translate it for uh, Spanish, I guess they were trying to figure out like what it meant for like something to have like a lot of pain. So they were like
Yeah.
torture.
A
So
little
that's
lost in translation there, I guess.
yeah. So like what do we think about the supporting cast of Friends like Ethan and Zach and Magenta?
I think they were fun. I mean, admittedly, they don't serve a huge role in the movie. That's fair enough to be said, but I still think their characters are interesting. I liked. I feel like we all went to school with someone like Zach, like that white boy who was trying to, I don't know, be really really hip or something like that. I feel like all of us went to school with someone like that at some point.
Yeah, I've known a couple of those in my high school days.
Yeah, but I thought he was fun. He was the funniest one, I'd say, and I liked Magenta because she was just. If you think about it, Magenta kind of saved the day by chewing through the wires and saving the school from plummeting.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed her sarcastic nature, and I also loved the little budding romance between her and Zach. I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
She didn't care about anything, and he was very, a lot. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing, I do want to applaud this film for using its use of practical effects and not heavily relying on
There's a
CGI.
big use of practical effects in this. I enjoy it, and the use of CGI is pretty tasteful for the time.
Yeah, like how they used a puppet as for the guinea pig instead of like a CGI guinea
is that
pig.
a puppet?
I thought that was a puppet.
No, that was a real guinea pig, I think.
Oh, I was thinking about the one where she was chewing through the wire.
Oh, gee, I couldn't tell.
Oh yeah, that's the beauty of practical effects.
Love me some practical effects.
Yeah, and
Also, kind of like the way they did some of the superpower scenes with, his super strength and stuff like that. That was pretty interesting.
yeah, and then
With the door that he broke through and stuff like that. I enjoy practical stuff like that. It's fun.
yeah, and then they used a real car to drop on their heads.
I doubt it, but yeah.
Okay, so that is Sky High. Is there anything else you would like to talk about in this film?
I really liked the big actors that served as the supporting cast, like you said, like Bruce Campbell, Linda Carter, Kurt Russell. I thought that was a lot of fun that you get to see just these random big actors, especially Linda Carter, since she played a superhero, in a pretty big way. She was the first Wonder Woman, kind of, in a sense.
Yeah.
And so that was cool that she got to be the principal. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, and then she said I'm not Wonder Woman,
Yeah,
and
that was funny.
And I was like, that was her character that she played.
Yes.
So yeah.
But yeah.
What are your final thoughts about this film, and what would you rate it?
It's fun. It's a really fun movie. I mean, it's not Citizen Kane or anything like that, but I think it's a really enjoyable romp just because I don't know, it's fun. It's a fun little superhero movie that seems to really pay homage to sort of the source material that it's pulling from while also being a little tongue-in-cheek, so it's pretty fun like that. And, I don't know, it's a fun movie. I'd give it a 7, 8 out of 10, probably.
That's what I would do. I would give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Sky High for you. All right, I've been Nathaniel Avila, Timbrel Hildebrand, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.